me, I'm all about if you want to accomplish something in January, you don't start in January. You start in November, you start in
Mm.
December. You want
Right.
to accomplish something in May. For me, for graduation, if there's something I want to get ready for conference, which is in April, I'm not gonna get ready in April. I'm gonna get ready in January. I'm gonna get ready
Mm.
in February. Always thinking ahead so that way, in case something changes, in case something happens.
This is where we show that we are stronger together and that if each one reach one, we can all grow and glow. I got my special guest with me today, Miss Kendall Jackson. Hello, Kendall. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. And I really want to thank you for being on the show with me. And if I haven't already said it, Happy New Year to you.
Yes, happy New Year to you.
All right. So how this works, Kendall, is we're live, and this is more based off of content creators, new content creators. This is how we again iron sharpen iron. Your skills, my skills coming together, and we're going to make ourselves stronger. So when we get off this live today, we're both going to be one step stronger, moving into the future. So, are you a small content creator, or are you a content creator?
Um, not gonna say no. I would say definitely the content I put out. It's a lot of golf stuff, obviously. And definitely just anything positive that I'm doing. I'm working on trying to get more engagement with my followers, but I personally wouldn't consider myself a content creator, no.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, you're putting material out there. So how this work? We're gonna have people that's gonna come in. You can start seeing them come up in the chat. So when they come in, we'll try to acknowledge when we can. If they have any questions for you or me, we're gonna ask them to put it down there, and that way we'll try if we have time to answer their questions. And then the other part to that is if you haven't already hit that like button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and start following and supporting my channel, and then we'll make sure we put all of Kendall's channels in the description once this show is over. You good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So, Kendall, if you could tell me a little bit about yourself, or tell us about yourself. Who is Kendall
Ye-
Jackson?
Yes, Kendall Jackson. I was born in Houston, Texas, and raised in Pearland, Texas. I would say definitely as a kid, always very active. I did probably one of the very first few activities I did growing up was gymnastics and golf. I did that at 5 and 6 years old, so always in the sports. I did basketball, I did karate, I did jujitsu, swimming. Very, very active, very, very well rounded. My parents were like, especially being an only child, they're like, we're gonna put you in everything and kind of see what sticks. And then very active throughout my church. My church, New Faith Church in Houston, Texas, a big part of who I am. Just growing up, learning about my faith, learning about God, and just growing into a young Christian woman. I was in drama ministry, usher ministry, choir, anything that had and there's pretty much any activity I could do there, I was involved with. But golf being the biggest thing, I started at 6 years old, and I'm now continuing through my time at Howard University, getting ready to graduate this May. Um, and I would say golf was always just kind of my number one thing I always went back to. However, a lot of the sports that I did growing up has all kind of helped and translated into golf, whether that's from a physical standpoint, a social standpoint, just being able to be well rounded has really helped me with golf. But overall, I would say I'm a very positive person. I feel like the biggest thing people notice about me besides golf is they notice my smile. I smile with all 28 of my teeth, not 32 because I got my wisdom teeth taken out. So all 28 of my teeth. I'm just very happy, very positive, very bubbly. I would say a few things I like to do whenever I'm not golfing, because golf is a big part of who I am, especially transitioning from a junior golfer to a high school golfer to a collegiate golfer, and now hopefully soon to be a professional golfer. Outside of golf, I love watching TV. That's probably one of the number one things I do whenever I'm not practicing. Rather, if it's whatever sports is on, basketball, football, golf, baseball. I would say I kind of like my reality TV shows, either reality shows, kind of whatever's trending on Netflix, any sports documentaries I really enjoy, especially any true stories. One of my teammates has me hooked on to like kind of not serial killer, but kind of murder mystery who done it, which I really enjoy. anything action packed, anything that keeps you on your toes. And the same thing with reading too. I feel like my TV show tastes and movie tastes and book tastes are kind of all one and the same. I do enjoy puzzles. I do the Wordle every single day, and I lost my streak a few days ago. I got it up to like 41 or 42 days, and I started all over. So like puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, the daily Wordle. Always like challenging myself.
All right. Well, I mean, you that's well-rounded. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on
Yes.
for sure. I mean, definitely. So you did, I mean, you named almost every sport I could imagine, or at least activity, and that's good. It's funny that you're saying not funny, but you're an only child. So I guess when you're the only child, you have to find a lot of sometimes activities to keep you entertained, and sometimes it's amazing
Absolutely.
to say jujitsu and basketball and you're a musician as well? You said music, you play
Yes,
music?
the piano.
Okay, okay.
I started, what's this, 25? Man, I'm blanking. Has it officially been 10 years? I No, I feel like it was 10 years a few years ago. It's been, I think, around or a little over a decade. I don't
Oh,
know. I'm
wow.
extremely rusty, but I do enjoy playing the piano.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, really, really, you got a lot going on. That's amazing. Let me I want to acknowledge some of the people that's down in the chat real quick. All right, so hello, Nisi Jackson. Thank you for joining the show. Empowered Living. Thank you. I see you out there. Emilio, how you doing? We see you out there. Casey, Inspirational Tales. Hello, how you doing? Thank you for being on the Iron Sharpening Iron show. We have Miss Kendall Jackson here. So, Kendall, you said that you are at Howard University. So
Yes, sir.
this is your senior year at Howard.
Yes, sir. Last semester. Few more months to go.
Okay, so now that you're getting ready to graduate, what's next for you? If you don't mind sharing, if you can share with us, what's the next step for you?
Yes, next step is transitioning into professional, which it looks different for everybody, especially for the women, because not say there's not as much opportunity, but if you're not kind of winning everything amateur wise and NCAA wise, it can be a little bit tougher. So most, not say most, but I would say the usual route is you do as well as you can to try to go through Q school, which is qualifying school, which is broken up into three stages. Stage one, which is a certain amount of rounds. I want to say it's 4 rounds of golf, have to make the cut and be in the top to move on to stage two. I want to say either four, I think it's 4 rounds of golf. So stage one being in August, stage two being in October, and then the final stage, stage three, Q series is like 6 rounds of golf. There's a cut after 4 days, I want to say, and you have to be in the top, I want to say 25 to secure your LPGA card for the following season. However, you kind of have to be on your game at that time because if you don't bypass stage one, you can't get to two, and then obviously ultimately three, and you would have to start all over the next calendar year. So some people kind of do Women's All Pro Tour and Epson Tour. The Epson Tour is the equivalent of the Corn Ferry Tour for the men's side. And they have a way to where if you gain enough status by doing well, let's just say for me, it'll be between May and let's go July. And if you gain enough status in Epson, you can bypass stage one, which would be huge. Anything you can bypass by having enough status, that's fantastic. So I'm still kind of learning this as I go, but also still trying to stay present and finish out my last season. But I know the better you play leading up to stage one, you can ultimately bypass stage one and potentially even two and go straight to three. But obviously, doing well, either winning, placing top five, top three, top 10, all of that. Um, but however, from a game standpoint, I'm currently at based on last year's score, 74.5 scoring average, which is, I will commend myself, very good. Is the
Yeah.
lowest I've had since being in school or just kind of ever. But I know in order to get to the next level, it's definitely going to have to be around even par, if not under, or even par and under par. The biggest thing I'm looking at is where can I start improving, because it's like, oh, I got to work on everything. Yes, you got to work on everything, but what is truly going to make a difference? And one thing I've started this year, or should I say last year, that I haven't is clipped CLI PPD, which is now the NCAA rankings. It used to be like Golf Stat and Golf
Mm.
Weekly, but now that's how Clipped has now taken over NCAA so far as their rankings. But then it's also where this is how the PGA and LPGA Tour have where they're gaining and losing shots. it's hard to measure that against your own self. You need other data. So that's what Clip does. It takes all these different, I don't even know, whatever algorithms and whatnots, and put in, as long as you put in your stats, like, oh, you hit this fairway, you hit this green, you were this many far out, and you can even go to enhance where, oh, the pin was over here and I missed it over here. It was a right to left putt and I missed it over here. It will literally break down, okay, this is where you're gaining strokes, this is where you're losing. So as of my last tournament, my best part of my game was actually putting, specifically, I want to say it was like short putts between like 2 to 5 feet, which is always solid. Anytime
Mm,
putting is a strong suit,
right.
but my two weaknesses were putting from 15 to 35 feet and chipping or just getting up and down around the green because they break it down between off the tee, approach shots around the green, and
Okay.
putting. And
Gotcha.
then they go from all there. So just knowing, okay, what can I do to improve those parts of my game, but then also continue, because off the tee distances wise is really good. Continue to do, continue to strengthen things that are strong, then also to improve on what needs to be improved on. And then I would say from a mental standpoint, especially based on my last tournament, I was had the incredible opportunity to compete in the Patriot All America tournament this past, going to say this past year, like it wasn't less than 2 weeks ago, but this past year out
Right.
at Litchfield Park in Arizona. And the first day really just got to me because I did recently just get LASIK eye surgery, which so far had been good, except the first day I did not have an umbrella or the right sunglasses. So it became really, really hard to see and just got extremely frustrated that first round, was able to come back and have a good second round, and definitely got fatigued that final round. So just having the mental fortitude of, this is what it's going to be like as a professional, staying there or getting there Monday, practicing Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, practice Thursday, and then playing Friday, Saturday. This one didn't have a cut, but now there's going to start being some
Maybe
cuts.
got.
So being able to put myself in that position the first 2 days, so that way I'm not scrambling trying to make the cut week in and week out. So a lot of moving parts, but biggest thing is just staying focused on this final spring season, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, continuing to do the things that have got me to this point, and just even enhancing that, so that way, whenever I do graduate, it's not, oh, let's start this. No, we've already been doing this for months, if not years.
All right. All right. If for those who are out there, we got our cherished church that just showed up. KC Inspirational again. Say hello, hello. How you doing, KC? Empowered Living. Denise Jackson is out there. Emilio, thank you all for being out there. Just want to say again, Kendall, she's talking. If you don't know what she's talking about golf. So Kendall Jackson is a collegiate golfer at Howard University. She's now getting ready to graduate from Howard University, and she was talking about the challenges that she's going to have to face to go into the LPGA, which is the Lady Professional Golf Association. So, I mean, but some of the terms that you use is the same terms that we use in content creating, talk about the algorithm and all of those other things that you're now trying to figure out. So that's the same thing when we creating content and putting it out there. We're trying to, make sure that YouTube is pushing our product or is putting us at a top level so that we can get our videos viewed by more people or get more subscribers and all of those things. So those are the same in the same sense. That's what we're trying to do as content creators that you're saying you're trying to do. You're trying to market yourself and put yourself in a
Absolutely.
position that they can say, hey, I want that person. I want that
Oh,
person,
that's
because that's what the whole thing is about. They want to see you because are you going to be good for TV rating? Are you going to be good for the tour? Are you going to be, those are the things that they want to see. And you're putting yourself in a good position to be able to, like I say, toot your own horn and you really got to boost yourself up to the point that now the LPGAs, we want you, like you say, to bypass certain things just because we want you right now. And that
absolutely.
is part of what we're trying to do now. So everyone that's out there that's watching and those who are going to watch later, we're going to ask you to continue to one, pray for Kendall Jackson. And then the other part is if you see that name somewhere, put those comments and articles and when you see it, because she's going to be out there. I can already foresee you're going to be on TV. So people that don't
Appreciate
know,
it.
people that do not know, a 72 is normally a normal par game in golf, 72. So if you say you're on a course that's a par 72, that means you got par on every hole, all 18 holes, 72. That's your score. Kendall says she has an average of 74. So she's only 2 shots over par. Now, y'all seen Big Jack play golf on videos. Big Jack is terrible. I'm saying I want to get 90. 90 is what I've been aiming for. And Kendall is talking about 74. That is amazing. That is straight amazing to be out there and playing at that level that you're yes. So congratulations on that for real. As a golfer or
Thank
wannabe golfer,
you.
congratulations on that. So
Appreciate it.
let me see. Have you had any struggles adjusting to the college life? So I know you're talking about all the going to the next level in the pros and as far as in golfing, but college life, what was your struggles adjusting?
Yes, I would say I have three big things in no particular order coming from Houston, Texas to now Washington, D.C. The very extremely cold weather, first and foremost, as a Southern girly. Oh my goodness. Especially, and I would say kind of too having an off season with Texas more so, Southeast Texas never really getting too cold. Can't speak for now because we got a little bipolar weather going on. But for me, I never really had an off season. And then three biggest thing missing class, which I'll kind of elaborate on all those three because there's a difference between, I don't know, at least for me, I grew up in just a regular public high school. Pearland High School went to the same 6, 7 classes 5 days a week. So if you miss a day or two, it's like, okay, and I'm fine. Versus in college, where it's a block schedule where you have your Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes and your Tuesday, Thursday classes. Say we leave for a tournament that's 36 holes. So say we leave Saturday, practice round Sunday, 36 holes Monday, 18 holes Tuesday. First of all, after 36 holes, I'm look as a student athlete, I'm looking at nobody's assignment after playing around the golf, let alone after walking 36 holes. Um, and so just being able to stay on top of your assignments both before the season starts, during the season, and obviously postseason. Um, but then two, really prioritizing, or not really, yeah, really prioritizing. Okay, before the season starts, okay, we haven't started traveling yet. Let me do as much as I can work wise, so that way it's because once you start leaving and once you start traveling, life moves on without you. The classroom does not stop just because you're not there. So being able to stay on top of your workload. Thankfully, I actually came at a time where between 21 and now 25, a lot of my stuff has been online. I actually didn't take my very first in-person final until sophomore year. So a lot of online classes, a lot of online assignments, which can both be detrimental and beneficial. Detrimental being like you miss that face to face. Like I feel like I didn't really have my first true year of college until sophomore year, but being able to be out of state, be away, and still get the assignments done on time or in a timely manner, and it's just stuff. And then only just having to make up the either the in-person tests or quizzes or whatnot or finals or whatnot. But yeah, traveling and missing school, like, you really truly have to prioritize before you leave, because you know as soon as you leave, that assignment is not getting done. But then at the same time too, I always hear the term, "Oh, student life, student athlete, life balance, work-life balance." To me, balance is like an equal scale on both sides, like, it's always equal at all time. There are sometimes that assignment is getting turned in late, and there are times where I'm gonna have to miss practice that day, all depending on where I'm at in the season. So, again, that all goes back to prioritizing and time management. But then two, getting adjusted to the cold weather, because at least for DC, it's just far up enough north to where you have nice weather in the fall, but still far up north where there is snow on the ground currently
Mm,
outside,
mm,
which now being here, I think this is my third time seeing snow, and then actually it stay on the ground for more than like 2 days.
right,
So being able to adjust to practicing indoors, putting indoors, or the stuff I can do consistently during the off season, because that's the biggest thing for Texas. I was practicing and competing and playing January through December. There were breaks, but there was never an off season
right,
until now getting here. There are no tournaments in, at least in this part of the US, December, January, February. So what can I do to stay productive? What can I, because obviously you still gotta rest, especially like once the season ends, it's like, okay, I'm not touching these clubs for at least a week. Let me get caught back up on school. And it's like, okay, let's get back into a routine that way. Once the season does start again, going back to I've already been doing this for months now. Oh, let's get started. Cause if you try to start once the season starts, you're already too late.
right,
So being able to maximize the time I'm spending at home, working on my game, working on my coach, working with changes I'm trying to make or instill or whatnot, and then transitioning once I'm back here. Okay, what are some things I do have to continue to do daily to to keep that feel up. But I feel like the biggest thing that gets lost is like going back to that chipping and around the green because you can swing, you can work on speed training, you can work on flexibility, you can putting that. But having those chip shots and those pitch shots, it's really hard to simulate that indoors. So just trying to do the best you can inside or whenever we go to top golf, because that's one thing we use a lot, especially once it's too cold to be outside, but not too bad to where you can still or too cold to be out on the course, but not too bad to where you can still see the ball actually move through space and not just hitting into a screen. So really just trying to do as much as you can, short game work and continue to keep up that feel.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you, being from the area, out of that DMV area, so um, yes, we are a southern state in the north. So you can get
See, y'all
all the
keep
weather.
saying Southern, but from Texas,
Well,
that's the one thing I will have to disagree. Where
well,
is DC and Maryland? Okay, the whole line,
it's
I
the
forget what
Mason
the line
Dixon
is.
line, the Mason
Yeah,
Dixon
but
line.
y'all are
Yes,
up
so
here.
it's it.
Y'all live the
It's a southern
Northeast.
state.
It's
It is a southern state
nah,
that's in the north. So you got to get
nah.
used to that.
The
But
Southern
because of
state
that,
stopped in the Carolinas. That's as far
because
up north I'm gonna give
no, no,
y'all.
this it is the Mason Dixon line is where they drew it and said this is the south. So we're a southern state that's in the north, but you're going to get every type of weather in the same day in where we're at. So it could be 90 degrees and snow, and then be raining and the wind blowing and the fall, the leaves are falling, all that, all at the same time. And you just say, okay, I'm in the DMV, and that's exactly where you are. So I'm
Mhm.
glad you was able to get used to it and adjust to it. Um, uh, I know it had to be. I want to say it's like challenging when you come from another state, especially you were far away because I'd use the thing of we call sugar distance. When I went to college, I was only 6 hours away, 6 hours away driving. Texas is a little bit further than 6 hours away driving. So
That'll be a
um,
25-hour drive
yeah,
if you drive straight through with no stops. You'll not be doing that. We'll take that 2-hour plane ride or a little
right,
over
right.
2-hour plane
A little
ride.
bit low. Okay. But and that's the thing. So the adjustment, I guess, when you got here, how did Howard receive you? Was it open arms? Was it like, just throw you in and I got you now, so you're in trouble? What was it? Was it a good welcome?
I would say from the Howard perspective, not so much golf, especially with golf being a very new program. For those who don't know, Howard University's golf program recently just started in 2020. The men got to play a little bit. It's actually a whole story of how it got started. Stephen Curry, shout out to him. Big reason why we have a golf team. If you have Hulu and ESPN Plus, you should check out our docu-series, Why Not Us, Howard Golf. Tells the whole story of how Howard Golf came to be. But a long story short, the men got to play in 2020, but the women's season did not start until my freshman year, which was fall 2021. So we'll kind of sidebar that a little bit because it was so new and it was still very much this was 2021, so very much kind of not on the tail end of COVID, but still it's not 2020 anymore, but still COVID is very much a thing,
Okay.
which I will say that was one of the biggest differences I noticed. The DMV and Texas treated COVID very, very differently. Most thing or biggest thing being from a safety perspective, which I actually appreciated. Now I look back on it. And so I would say from a Howard standpoint, they were kind of very cautious, very like I remember I didn't get my like they have the whole pinning ceremony that was canceled because of COVID. Majority of my classes were online except for like one in-person class my freshman year. So that freshman year was really just like, okay, I'm at Howard, but I'm kind of behind my computer the whole time, and I'm trying to adjust to being now on a college golf team that is brand new. So once I would say once we got to year 2, especially after we hosted our not inaugural, our annual, Bison at the Beach fundraiser, which at the time, my freshman, sophomore year was at Pebble Beach, like the famous Pebble Beach in California. This year we hosted at one of our home courses in Woodmont, and this upcoming year, which I'm not sure if I'll be going because I would have graduated, but if I'm a special guest, I won't be upset. It'll be at Eastlake Golf Club in Atlanta. That was to me like that was like Howard Golf meets Howard because a lot of people don't realize too Howard has a golf team and then what we're trying to do, what we're trying to build, and what we're trying to achieve. And to me, seeing all the people come together, whether if it was our sponsors, whether if it was some alumni, whether if it was people from administration, to me that was like, oh, this is what it's all about. And obviously a chance to meet Steph Curry, which I would say freshman year, our Bison at the Beach was June 2022, not even a few weeks after him winning the 2022 NBA Finals. What a time to meet Steph Curry. Less than 2 weeks after the NBA,
That's nice. That's what's
Finals.
up.
So just seeing him and his support and what he's done and meant to the team, and then alongside, Callaway and Under Armour being and Curry Brand being our biggest 3 sponsors, and then just what they stand for, and then every time they try to or everything they do to make us look good, make us feel good. 'Cause especially with I would say most schools, I know there's not that many Callaway schools out there. I'm not even gonna say the exact number because I don't wanna lie. And I know for a fact not that many Under Armour schools, especially because Howard University as a whole was Under Armour for the longest, and then Jordan Jumpman signed like some 80-year contract, I wanna say a year or 2 ago, for the school. I was like, oh, we can't leave Steph and Under Armour. So we are actually the only sports team currently at Howard that is not Nike Jumpman. We're still very much Under Armour, which I appreciate. I love Under
Mhm.
Armour. Um, and then just seeing what can happen whenever you get people together from all walks of life. And that's what golf is, really just getting people you would never truly meet in any other circumstance, and then you meet them and you talk, and you're like, wow, you figure out how much you have in
Uh,
common, your likes, your dislikes, all that good stuff.
oh, that's good. That is good. Um, so the show itself, iron sharpening iron. You know, one person bringing their skills, bringing their knowledge and understanding, going against another knowledge and understanding and clashing. So and not clashing in a negative, but clashing in a positive, where we get stronger with each other. So thank you again, Kendall, for being on the show. I just want to go in. We got Sierra Thorns. Is that Thorn? Make sure I get it right. She said, "Woo, Kendall." We got PMCA 1299 says, "I'm with Kendall," and I'm believing they're talking about with the weather because that would be in one of those. And they just said, "Hi, everyone." Sharon Jackson's in there and says, "Awesome, Kendall." And then Empower Liver said, "Don't know golf, but Kendall has an infectious smile." So he had a beautiful smile. So yes, she does.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah. So
you.
so we want to thank everybody that's here and that's listening. I got Kendall Jackson on. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit that like button. If you haven't hit the subscribe and you're liking the show and liking what's going on, please hit that subscribe button. Miss Kendall Jackson is at Howard University. She's in her senior year. So, Kendall, since you've been playing, so you've been there for 4 years, you've been playing. Have you done anything? What accomplishments have you achieved in the classroom and on the golf course?
Yes. I would say academically wise, because I actually came into Howard as a finance major until I took accounting and had 6 tournaments in the span of 40 days. I was like, yep, we're gonna have to change something a little bit more flexible with golf. But I was able to get on the dean's list. I know my first year, which is not bad considering that was kind of like I've only I was in school of business for a year and a half, and was able to do well, and then changed to sports management. And for sports management, which is under the College of Arts and Science at Howard, which is actually the biggest school at Howard, you had to have a minor, so I minored in economics. Nothing against economics. I just literally needed 3 more classes to complete it. I'm like, why not? Might as well. So minoring in economics, and I would say switching to that honestly was one of the best decisions I made being at Howard because one is allows me to pursue something. Nothing against finance. Finance is very important. Accounting is very important. But I know for me, that's not something I want to pursue immediately following post graduation. I definitely still need to learn a lot more about financial literacy, especially when it comes to contracts and sponsorships and taxes and bills and all that stuff I know absolutely nothing about. However, that's what all goes in like building a team and being able to learn and know and grow. But for sports management, one, I love sports. I enjoy watching sports, especially playoff season, like right now, which I will shout out. Probably either going to get a lot of love or a lot of hate. My football teams. in this exact order: Chiefs, Texans, Cowboys, and not a bandwagon fan either. Texans, I will admit, I did just start rooting for them last year, but Chiefs and Cowboys, been rooting for since I started watching football in 2012. Mom and dad can quote me on that. Not a bandwagon fan. But anyways, I knew sports management, I would be able to still pursue something in the golf industry or either definitely in the sports industry post my professional career, rather depending on obviously want to go as extremely well as it can, but obviously life happens. And knowing that I would be able to have something, well, plan A or plan A, professional golf, plan B is make plan A work, and then plan C, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Um, So academic, I didn't even answer your question. Academic wise, Dean's List, I know. I want to say, I forget if it's the NEC, because that's the conference we're in. It's I should know this. It's like some all academic team or something. I saw it pop up like the last 2 years because myself and a lot of my teammates, we run, and I don't know why I'm blanking, but we did have the highest combined GPA for the men's and women's, um, not out of all the sports teams, but I want to say we had a 3.8 average
All
either
right.
last year or the year before.
Mm.
And I would say golf wise, I'm the reigning MVP the last 3 years running, hoping to make it four in a row this year. NEC all conference second and first team. There was one other one. Oh, I do have the most wins on the women's team, and soon hopefully to have the most out of the entire program. I do have 6 collegiate wins, four being 54 hole, one being 18, one being 36. But a win is a win. A first place is a first place.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes. I feel like there was one other thing because me and my dad were literally just talking about this the other day, and I'm blanking. It'll probably come to me, but
No, no problem. No problem.
definitely have accomplished a lot, but I know I could do so much more closing out
Mhm.
this last season.
All right. So, I mean, you said a lot about definitely being a student and being an athlete, and even saying that you made the dean list and things like that. That's just amazing because I know, as an athlete in college, and especially when you travel to go to games and things, it's a little bit different for football because of the fact that we play normally on a Saturday, and you only had to travel 2 days ahead. But for you, it was your events are like 3 days long. So that means you, like you say, you're traveling 2 days ahead getting in your practice round. So you're taking a 5 day week just to play
Pretty
a tournament
much.
away from the game itself. I mean, away from class, you're taking 5 days off just so you can perform the sport, and then you still got the class. So hats off to you because of the being able to keep your classroom straight and your golf straight, and to say that you've won several times is amazing in itself. So that's just, especially with a new program you coming in. So I'm sure that there was times even as a freshman they probably had you had a lot of weight on your shoulders of like you're carrying the program, you're carrying the team because it was new and you happen to be new. So when you're winning, everybody's looking at you like, is she going to hold us out? Are we going to win this tournament? Is she going to, drive it and hit the ball straight down the fairway and put it on the
Mhm.
green? And those are the things that that people, you do. You carry a lot of weight. So how did you handle or did you have to handle any of that pressure? Did you feel the pressure? Did you feel obligated as a because it was a new program to, hold that standard up?
I would say definitely more so the first 2 years and now the last 2 years, because especially with the first 2 years being new, it's like um, it was just a matter of kinda like in high school trans or from kind of before high school to high school, it's like, okay, I play golf, but now introducing it as a team aspect, like if I have a bad day, that now affects the whole team. And it's very hard to think of golf as a team sport because when I see my teammates warming up, unless they're right in front of me or right behind them, I will not see them for the entire day. But their score will ultimately contribute because in golf you have 5 players who compete. They go off either tee time or shotgun or whatever, and it's the overall cumulative score. And then you take out where they always take out so if it's 6 people, they're gonna drop the lowest score or the highest score. If it's 5 people, they keep the top four scores. So some score is always getting dropped. So knowing your shot, obviously it's everybody as a whole, but your shot, your putt, your tee shot could be the difference of your team winning, or difference of your team losing or placing or whatnot. So the biggest thing is you have to just focus on what you can do and what you can contribute. Because if you worry, if you start putting too many other thoughts like, oh, I gotta, then you have too much. And golf is already enough mental
Right,
taxing
right.
sport enough as
100%.
is
Yeah.
without other acts or without other excess stuff. So the
Mhm.
more you can focus on your performance, which that was, it took me a while to kind of get into a groove. Oh, there goes my dad's in the comment, Maurice
Yeah, I
Jackson.
see
Yes,
it. I
number
see it
one.
down
See,
there.
that's
I
so
see
good.
it.
I don't
So
know why I missed that
okay,
one.
so
Yes,
Maurice Jackson is
yes,
in the comments and he's putting something. He says
yes,
Kendall Jackson's ranking is 236 in the NCAA. So that's all NCAA female golfers. She is 236.
yes,
That is amazing in itself. And number one HBCU ranked golfer. We have the number one
yes.
HBCU ranked golfer on
Appreciate
this show
it.
right now. On
Thank
the look
you.
on the Iron Sharpening Iron show, we got the number one HBCU ranked golfer, and I'm just proud to. Really, I am proud. And it says HBCU Player of the Year female, and here he is, Kendall Jackson. So
Thank you.
excited and happy for you. I want to hit everybody else's because I know Maurice is putting his down, and we appreciate that. Sarah, is it Sarah? Sarah Thorns says first hole in one, also in a tournament at golf at Kingwood, which was awesome to see. So you have to know her because she's seen you play, or maybe she know you, you don't know her. KC Inspiration say I'm just in awe listening. So that's thank you, KC. She also say I'm so proud of you, Kendall. You articulate so well, confident and driven. You have a bright future ahead. Keep up the good work.
Thank
Sarah again
you.
said, can't wait to see you in Austin for the golf tournament there.
Yes,
All right.
appreciate it.
Sharon
Thank you,
Jackson
Soraya.
says, Sharon Jackson said, "Oh no, she was a fan, but she don't know now. But that's only because you said the Cowboys. I know Sharon Jackson,
Yes, I
and
know, I know, I
and
know.
when you're in
A lot of
Washington
love and a
area,
lot of
when you
hate.
yeah, when you're in
Yes,
the Washington area, you can't
Chiefs
say
and
the Cowboys.
Cowboys are very sore
Yeah, yeah,
subject.
yeah,
Texas
yeah,
not too bad,
yeah.
but Chiefs and Cowboys, you got to be careful.
They
But
don't even really care about them Chiefs as much here. It's them Cowboys.
that's
Regardless,
fair.
win or lose, they don't like them Cowboys. So
That's
for
fair.
you to even say those words, it's like, oh my God. So it's not don't take it personal. It's not personal for sure.
No,
But
I'm good.
I thank you, Mr. Jackson down there for adding those extra things in because I know when you're on the spot and you're in the hot seat and it's hard to remember all the things you do. And you also don't want to keep patting yourself on the back. Yeah, I'm the number one. So it's good that
Because we
somebody
got
else put
more
it down
work
there.
to do. We
It's
got
okay, and
way
that's the
more
whole
work
thing.
to do.
That's all of us. That's all of us. And so that's the thing. Even when we're talking about the content creating and things like that, even if you get monetized, you got to keep putting in the work. Even if you get the subscribers, you got the watch hours, you get monetized. That don't mean you get to stop. That only means you got to work harder. So what a lot of people don't know, and I know only because of some of the history I have with you, Kendall, is for golf. Golf is a sport. And
Yes.
you mentioned golf as a sport, and you talked a lot about practicing and things like that. But do you have to hit the weight room? Do you have to go in the gym? How does that work for you?
Yes. I would say, well, last thing to finish your last question about
Okay.
pressure, because I want to finish that.
Okay. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, the biggest thing is you really just have to focus on yourself and really trust in the work that you've done. And I know coach, I don't know why I'm blanking tonight, but one thing he always says about pressure, something about how the more prepared you are, something about lack of preparation does something. So you know the effort you put in, you know the work you put in. I don't know why I'm blanking tonight, but basically, if you get to a situation like, okay, I've prepared for this, I've worked for this, I got this, versus say you haven't worked on this shot and you get into a tournament, you're like, oh Lord, I haven't done this. That's when. So it's a really matter of tackling all you can before and trusting the work that you've done. And then to answer your second question, yes, us golfers, we are athletes, especially college golfers. Obviously, the greatest example being Tiger Woods. You can definitely see the shift in golf before Tiger and after Tiger. Like what he did in the gym, he really truly made golf an athletic sport. Cause like, oh, you're walking, oh, you're not getting tackled, oh, you're not running. But for most people who don't know, say a typical round of golfing, 18 holes, rather if it's flat, rather if it's hilly, I'm getting anywhere to, let's say, 18 holes, a little over anywhere from 6 to 8 miles. So that can be 12 to 14,000 steps. And if I'm playing 36 holes, that's twice as much. And that's not counting if the course is hilly, especially adjusting from flat Houston, Texas to the
Mm,
very
right,
extremely
right, right,
hilly
right, right.
Northeast. Big difference walking. 18 holes or 36 holes flat versus up and down. And then two, moving, you're rotating, I mean, especially golf is not a very um I don't use the word equal sport, but just like with baseball, they're always throwing with their right hand. Basketball, they're always shooting on this side. Football, you're always doing constantly on your right side. So the more you can be balanced out, the better. And it's a lot of rotation, a lot of movement. Right, if you're hitting through the sand, hitting in the rough, it's a lot of movement, movement, movement around your spine. So obviously, just like with any sport, the difference between athletes who lift more, who run more, who train more, are ultimately going to be biggest thing with golf is endurance. That's the number one biggest thing, especially playing that final round of golf and you've already played 2 or 3 rounds leading up beforehand. So one thing I like to prioritize, especially being a woman, I'm not trying to bulk up. I am naturally very strong so far as hitting the golf ball, but I know my biggest priority is flexibility because you can get stronger, you can get better, you can get faster if your muscles are stiff and you don't stretch. That's the number one thing. Kind of all golfers across the board, college golfers do a little bit better, but it's mostly kind of your recreational golfers. Y'all want to go up to the range like, oh yeah, go start hitting drivers and have not stretched at all. Do you see any other sports like do they just go onto the field? Do they just go onto the court? No, they warm up, they stretch. Just because you're not getting hit, not getting tackled, doesn't mean you don't need to properly warm up and stretch. And there's a difference between a round of golf that's straight from the parking lot to the tee in 5 minutes, first shot breakfast ball versus I'm not saying you have to spend an hour and a half warming up if that's not your thing, but being able to warm up your body, hips wise, spine wise, it's a lot of movement, a lot of rotation, a lot of stretching. And for yours truly being a flat footed golfer is not fun. Not fun at all. A lot
No,
of
no.
ankle mobility, stretching, and strengthening because whatever happens down there affects the entire leg. And if anything is affecting your leg, that can affect how you rotate, that can affect how you go
Right.
through, that can affect post impact. Everything starts at the feet. So if you got weak ankles, if something's not off with your knee or in your hamstring, that all ultimately affects everything. And then that's obviously not even coming from just a walking and endurance standpoint. Some people run. My podiatrist recommended me not to run, so finding more cardio activities that are not high impact. So one thing I do like to do, I enjoy training in the pool. I actually started working with the swim coach last year, and I saw a huge difference, and
Mm.
especially my final rounds, being able to, even if the score wasn't as good as I knew it could be, from an endurance standpoint, I wasn't because you're going to be tired. You're obviously going to be tired, but not just wiped out, exhausted. And I see the difference of training leading up versus if I didn't do as much as I knew I could have done. So if that's either swimming, if that's running for some people, if that's mobility, if that's strengthening, because it's not just all about lifting. You have to be mobile, you have to be flexible, you do have to be strong, yes. But my opinion, being flexible, being mobile, um, outweigh everything. Well, not necessarily outweigh, but you can't do the rest if you're not flexible
Yeah,
and
yeah.
mobile.
No, very good point. Very good. So I know a lot of times we see on TV. So we watch pro golf on TV for those who watch, and they have someone carrying the bag for them. So in college, do someone carry your bag, or is that something you have to do on your own, or what
That
goes
is
on with that?
all on you. College golfers do not have caddies. Your coach at the time, because whenever your coach is there, obviously it's five, if not more golfers on the course at the same time, unless it's an individual tournament, it might be you and a few others. He cannot carry your bag. He can kind of walk alongside you, kind of give you advice, kind of give you a read. But me personally, because I need my back in the future, I use a push cart. I have no shame in using a push cart. Now I do carry in practice to get stronger. Qualifying may differ, I may push, I may carry, but I always push in the tournament. One, because I need my back. Two, because I need my snacks. I always have snacks, whether that's whatever fruit, whatever Belvitas, whatever sandwich. Um, and I will commend men this our men's college golfers. They're a little bit stronger, usually a little bit more broader shoulders. They usually don't have snacks in their golf bag and stuff is not weighing them down. So they can carry. I will give them to that. I will push. No shame. And even too, people men who do use push carts. No shame either. You need
Uh,
your back in the future.
oh,
So
no, no. If the cart is allowed to be used, a push cart, you
yes.
gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So with that, you're out on the course. and you're on the tee box. So now you're up at the tee. It's the first tee. They announced your name, said what school you're from. Do you feel any nervousness? How does it feel when you're sitting on that tee box? It's the first tee, and you're looking down that fairway. What goes through your mind?
Always first tee jitters, of course. My biggest thing is please just hit the fairway, especially if I have a nice little gallery behind me. But no, but one thing I always like to do or try to do my best of, especially if it's either if it's a shotgun start or if I'm going off one or going off 10, if I know kind of like the first three holes I'm gonna see, I try to hit those shots on the range. That way once I get to the tee box, it's like, oh, I literally just hit these shots not even a few minutes ago. That's one thing I like to try to implement in my kind of warm up routine. The biggest thing I always like to do, especially now, the faster I get into a groove, those first few holes, I just know the better the round is going to be overall. So work on getting into a groove early. So rather that can be like, okay, let's come out really aggressive these first few holes. Like, okay, let's kind of come out conservative these first few holes, depending on how I'm playing that day, kind of how the practice round went, how the hole is shaped and whatnot. But always kind of having that game plan beforehand and not deviating from the game plan too much because it will adjust and fluctuate depending on the weather, depending on how I'm feeling. Because I'll go up to a hole and I'm like, I may have hit this driver absolutely perfect in the practice round, but I'm like, am I feeling driver? Is driver off a little bit now? What's the worst gonna? Because you hate to be like, oh, what's the worst that's gonna happen? But you really do have to err on the side of caution, especially being one of the more longer hitters, especially off the tee. More stuff is always going to come into play where that trap may be two let's just say 240. Say there's a trap that's 240, a bunker that's 240, and if I hit the ball 260, that trap can be in the way. So I'm like, do I aim away from it? Do I lay back to where I can have a full shot that even if I miss this has no chance of going in? Do I completely take it out? So I'm always thinking that during the round, like, okay, especially off the tee, because you have to set yourself up off the tee in order to attack the green. And that's all things you're thinking during the practice round. And that way, once you get to the course, get to the tournament, it's how you play in the practice round, completely different how you play in the tournament. The practice round is always like, where do I want to be? Where do I want to miss? Where do I want to do all of the thinking ahead of time? And once you get to the tournament, oh, this is where I'm aiming. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm going. And the fast, just like, okay, this is a little off. Let's aim over here. Let's hit this club. The less thinking you can do while you're competing, the better. I'll leave all the thinking to the practice and the prep beforehand. So
All
when you go
right.
out there in the tournament, it's all about just playing.
Just playing. All right. All right. So I want to thank everybody that's here on the Iron Sharpening Iron Show. Those who are in the chat. We got Miss Kendall Jackson here from Howard University. She is a athlete. She is a student who's an athlete. She is one of the top players in the HBCU. She's one of the top players in the NCAA, and she's getting ready to leave school, and then she's on her way to whatever Lord have for her when she goes out.
Yes, whatever the
Hopefully, we'll
Lord
see her
says.
hopefully see her on Thursdays and Saturdays and
Yes,
Sundays on the LPGA
absolutely.
tour and around the world because I'm sure she. So, Kendall, I would just not to put you on the spot, but your team, Team Jackson, who makes up that support team for you? Like I know coming from Texas all the way to DC, I know that was a little rough for your adjustment. You said the weather and all those other things, but how's your support? How's that work for you?
Yes, it has grown tremendously, especially now because we're actually in the middle of planning two graduation parties, one in Houston and one in DC. And my mom, the amount of times she said, oh Lord, like the amount of people we just keep adding and adding to the list because of people who have supported. It's just been tremendous, obviously, first and foremost, being my parents. Um, I mean, they just have done so much to put me in a position to succeed, especially my dad, my mom too, but especially my dad. He knew from 6 years old, oh yeah, she's getting golf scholarships. She's going to college to play golf. And that light bulb did not click on until many years later. But
Mm.
knowing like what he's done as a student athlete, what he's done as a student athlete, specifically at an HBCU. So even though maybe I don't always want to hear it every single time, like Kendall, I may have not played golf, in 2022, 23, 24, 25 at Howard University, but I know what it's like to be a student athlete at HBCU. Make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing that, make sure
Oh
you're doing
wow,
this,
that's
making
good.
because I know what it's been like to go through this. We want to make sure we don't make that same mistake and we're learning and growing. And that way I can turn around and do the same for the girls coming up behind me, rather if it's Howard, rather if it's another school, what to do transitioning from high school, from freshman year to sophomore year, junior, senior, and then transitioning to college. But yeah, having that support system at home and Pearland and Houston and Texas, and then now ultimately here between friends, family, coaches, people we've met along the way, and especially being at Howard, it's just been so unbelievable the amount of connections, especially the amount of Houston connections. You would think, oh, Houston, Texas, Washington D.C. Not much in common, but the
Right.
amount of people I've met either from Houston that went to Howard or from the Howard area that's gone to Houston or whatnot. I actually think Houston itself has the biggest, second biggest Howard alumni behind the DMV, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
wow, wow.
So just having that support on both ends, being able to go back and forth and knowing I have support. And then I actually have a cousin that lives here because at first when I got here, I'm like, I know nobody over
Mm,
here other than my teammates I just met just a few weeks ago. I mean, she's kind of bounced around between DC, Maryland, Virginia. So having her place City Swing. Shout out Tari Cash, CEO of City Swing. They have been incredibly supportive of Howard, especially there's a difference between supporting an individual and supporting a team. Anytime you can support the team, rather if it's coming out to tournaments, coming out to our engagement days with like anytime we volunteer with the kids, either if it's like the first T kids or whatnot, and seeing that support. I know a lot of people, especially back then, knew about Howard having a team back in like the 60s and 70s, and then now for it to be a competing Division 1 team on the men's and women's side, being able to see that, being able to see Black and
mm,
brown boys and
right.
girls compete at the highest level, compete on some of the best courts, like the amount of courses I've been able to play, the people I've been able to meet, like I will forever truly look at my life, especially graduating high school in 2021, behind the forgotten COVID class, I will say, forever look at my life as before and after Howard, more specifically before and after Howard Golf. It's just been so much more I could even imagine or dream. Because you go into the expectation like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like this. Oh, it's gonna be like this, and then you get here like, wow, this is few things are like I had no idea this is to expect, and then other things like, oh my goodness, I wouldn't trade this in for the world. So
Right. Wow. That's good.
been
No,
quite
that's
the
really good.
journey.
That's really good. That's really awesome. So I am a student who's I play a little golf. I play golf, and I'm trying to come to college, and I want to not even play. I'm just coming to college. I'm a student. What advice do you have for me as a freshman from or senior from high school, getting ready to go to college? What advice would you give me stepping in? I'm first time away from my parents, first time away from home. I, I'm in a new state, new area, new whatever. What advice would you give me?
As a non-student athlete
Uh, as
or
both,
both?
well, let's say a student athlete. That's
Okay.
stepping your ground. So yeah.
I would say as a student athlete, biggest thing is prioritizing, 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 prioritizing. And in case you didn't hear me for the people in the back, prioritizing, cannot emphasize that enough. And being able to be flexible because it's not a matter of if something comes up, it's when something comes up. Something is going to come up that either practice runs late or the flight gets delayed or they move the assignments, like something is going to happen. So you have to be able to have your routines that you stick to each and every day, but then also be able to adjust and be flexible. It's like, okay, if this comes up, okay, let me don't be so like, oh, I have to do this at this certain time because it might change, it might fluctuate. And that was the biggest thing I had to learn and just to like just because you set a schedule doesn't mean it's always going to get followed to the exact T. So being able to be flexible, if that means cutting back on scrolling on TikTok at night for 30 minutes to do this, to putt for this time, to work on this assignment or whatnot, I'm really prioritizing, okay, what needs to get done tonight, what needs to get done this week, what needs to get done this week or next week, what do I need to do daily, what do I need to do weekly, what do I need to do one couple times a week? Because especially playing golf, any sport at all, but especially golf, because there's so many aspects, there's so many different I mean, you have 14 clubs alone that do 14 different things, and that's not even counting lies, lofts, this shot, that shot. It's just so much. You cannot work on every single aspect of your game while you're in college every single day. It's just, there's just not enough time.
Mm,
So being able to prioritize, okay, what do I need to do every single day? What do I need to do every single week? And it can look different for some people. Some people may have to work on this more than this, more than this, and that's something you kind of learn while you're in high school. That way, once you get to college, like, oh yeah, this is something I need to continue to do. Okay, but I already know based on my scores or based on this or this. You have to learn now while you're in high school before you get to college. Because once you get to college, not say you run out of time, but the more you can kind of set yourself up before high school or before college, the better. To me, I'm all about if you want to accomplish something in January, you don't start in January. You start in November, you start in
mm,
December. You want
right.
to accomplish something in May. For me, like for me for graduation, if there's something I want to get ready for conference, which is in April, I'm not gonna get ready in April. I'm gonna get ready in January. I'm gonna get
Mm,
ready in February. Always thinking ahead so that way in case something changes, in case something happens, and then two, that's building that consistency week in, week out, month in, month out. Because again, stuff's gonna happen, stuff's gonna fluctuate, stuff's gonna change. But the more you've been doing in advance, by the time it comes, like, oh yeah, I've already been doing this. I'm already prepared. I'm good.
mm,
Um,
right.
and I would say
Yeah.
biggest thing too, talk to your teachers, talk to your professors, especially as a student athlete, you know you're gonna miss a lot, especially if it's like a Tuesday, Thursday class where you're only gonna be there half the week. Talk to them, get to know them. I'm a person, especially growing up as an only child, is like I'm either gonna talk to myself or I'm gonna talk to somebody else. So being able to be open to forming those new relationships and not always like, oh, I'm only talking to this person because I need them for something. No, that's not how relationships work. Ask them, how are you? How are you doing? How's so and so doing? And then that way in the future, it's like, oh, you know what? If they need like an extension on this assignment, or if they need a recommendation
All
letter,
right.
oh, that student, she was so nice. She would come in and check in every now and then to see how I was doing. Like I have professors or teachers, they're not even my professors or teachers, where I've seen them, where I've talked to them, I said hello, and then it just continues. So building and growing those relationships. And I would say the final thing, plan out your laundry. Plan out your laundry. I feel like it's such a futile thing that you don't really think about until you get to a point where you have no clean clothes, you have all dirty clothes, especially depending on how your living situation is set up. I'm fortunate enough to where I have my own laundry in my own suite versus last year it was two washers and two dryers on 10 floors with like I don't even know how many plus rooms on each floor.
Right. Yeah.
So prioritizing laundry, do not wait until you have no clean clothes to wash, especially if you're getting ready to travel. Do not wash and pack the same night or else you're gonna be up, especially if there's a football game on. Um, yeah, that goes back to prioritizing and whatnot and
Prioritizing. That's
everything.
it. Yeah.
Um, and then
Prioritizing.
I'll say just the last thing, just enjoy it. It goes by fast. I cannot believe I'm in my last semester of
Mm,
college
yeah.
golf. You've always talked about it, always dreamed about it, but then to actually be here and you want to be able to say you left with absolutely no regrets, whether that's from a social standpoint, whether that's from a sports standpoint, an academic standpoint, a pledging standpoint, a clubbing standpoint. Like make sure you do all that you can because you're not going to be 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 forever. So
Yeah. I
enjoy it
agree.
while you can.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Well, I truly thank you, Kendall. We try to again, we support each other in here, so it's a lot of people that's in the chat and those who was watching and paid attention again on the Iron Shopper and Iron Show. But one of the comments you was making about being prepared, don't wait until you're there to start getting prepared. You got to be prepared earlier. But one of the content creators in here, I Cherish Church, they made that same comment earlier today or yesterday about don't wait till you're monetized to start getting the other stuff in order. You gotta I got my 1,000 subscribers, I got my 4,000 watch hours, and now it's like start preparing for your 1,000 subscribers, start preparing for your 4,000 watch hours, so that when those things come to pass, you're not waiting or you're not now trying to catch up. It's like, oh, now let me get this and
Exactly.
stuff in place. So prioritizing is very important. So I appreciate you dropping that knowledge on us in here. I try to limit this to 1 hour, and it's hard to believe we've been here 1 hour, so it's been amazing. I appreciate you. I'm seeing Power Lady say, very nice presentation. Thanks so much, showing your success looks like in the early stages. So I'm gonna
Appreciate it.
ask everyone out there to keep their eye out for Kendall Jackson. She'll be
Yes.
on that golf circuit, the ladies,
And
the
watch Why Not
LPGA.
Us Howard Golf on Hulu and ESPN Plus.
We're gonna make sure
30-minute, 30-minute episodes.
We're gonna make sure we put that link down in the description when we post this one, because this video, once this live is ended, it'll go as actually be there, and we'll make sure we put those links down there so you can watch about Howard Golf. I know they did the HBO, was it Netflix special? Was it which one was it?
Hulu,
Hulu.
ESPN Plus.
ESPN Plus. Okay, all right. I thought it was something else too. Okay, all right, well, all right. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, with all that being said, I want to thank everybody who tuned in today. Thank you, Miss Kendall Jackson, for being a guest on the Iron Shopping and Iron Show. It's been a true pleasure to have you here. I'm looking forward to seeing bigger and better things with from you and with you. Without a doubt, even from your freshman year, I knew you're going to go to the next level. So I'm just waiting. I got a half a second before I'm gonna say, were you able to watch the TGL golf yesterday?
Yes, I was.
Okay,
I have mixed feelings. I feel like
okay.
that's the type of thing that's kind of better in person. But anytime you can introduce golf in a new aspect, it's always cool. Curious to see how the players felt about it, especially for like those who hit shots that they didn't like. It like, oh, was it them? Was it the simulator? So I know for me personally, I think it would have been better had I been there in person, kind of, because that's the whole thing
Mm,
about golf. It's kind of like very quiet, kind of very mild manners outdoors, but to have it in that kind of stadium indoor environment, I'm like, how are they going to pull this off? But I did like the concept. I like the team aspect. And too, I feel like, not to say golfers are boring. Most golfers are boring, but not all golfers are boring. But just for them to kind of get a little bit more of their personality, that was really cool. Kind of seeing them still competitive, but also a little bit more relaxed. Curious to see how well it takes off. Obviously, this was just the first night, so it was a little weird, a little cool, but I definitely
yeah.
will watch it
I
again.
will go with that. I will go with that. So normally after the 1 hour mark, I try to throw a nugget out there. I try to throw a nugget so people who actually watch and stay with us the whole time, we throw little things out there. Sometimes they're surprised, sometimes they're not. See, they're going to be surprised because a lot of times when you, especially, so Big Jack, when I first met Kendall, I was doing promotional videos, and I was part of Team Jackson because I was trying to. I wanted. I've been a fan for a long time. So I am 100%. So I was doing promotional videos, and this was one of my first clients. So I was able to watch her grow from her freshman year to now, and I am super super excited. So the nugget is, she was one of my first clients when I was doing promotional videos way back before I was on YouTube and any of those things. We were posted on Facebook and TikTok and things like that. So if you see some of her earlier videos, it
You
might be
gotta
something that
scroll.
Big Jack, yeah, right. It might be something that Big Jack created. So that's a little nugget for the show. For those who didn't know, I used to dabble a little bit with the videos, but Kendall made it easy because she was just good. And when you're good, it just makes it easy because she had a whole lot of highlights I could put together. So I truly, truly thank you again, Kendall, for being on the show. I thank everybody that's been watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I do not know where I am right now, but I believe I'm right next to the 1,000 subscriber mark. I don't know if I crossed it or not, but if I get there, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So it'll probably be part of the show. So I'm not sure because I can't see it right now, but I know I was real close before the show started. So hopefully we got there. But Kendall, again, thank you for being on the
I say I
show.
gotta make sure I
Um,
like and subscribe.
Oh yeah, definitely. Make sure when you get off here, subscribe. So you might be the 1,000 person. Put me over the number.
Yes, love to
Somebody
see it.
said 997. So
Okay,
I'm
we're gonna make
almost
it
there.
nine
So
ninety eight.
998. All right. And I'm sure Maurice Jackson is in there. So other people hit that subscribe button and hit me that 1,000. So, but with all that being said, so people, if you didn't know, it takes 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours to be monetized on YouTube. So you got to, those are some of the goals you have to get set. I'm not aiming for that. What I was aiming for is what we have right here, to be able to sit with you and to talk side by side and go live. And I'm super excited and super ecstatic about it. So with all that being said, Kendall, thank you again. Good luck in whatever you do with your graduation for sure. Moving forward in the LPGA or whatever else that the Lord takes you. Good luck. And again, thank you for being on the show. If you want to be a guest on the Iron Sharpening Iron show, send me that email to Big Jack storytimeguests@gmail.com. And I'll put that in the description as well. But until next time, we talk to you later. We love you all and peace. Thanks, Kendall.
Thank you.